Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. It's an exciting time of year. Look, we're 4 days away, boys. 4 days away from spring camp. Cannot wait. Going to do a fan call-in show on Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to feel like Christmas Eve. You guys get an opportunity. Come on, hang out, talk about what you're excited about. But when we near spring camp, also recruiting starts to pick up. Visits start to be scheduled. And I get it. I understand. It's early in the process for the class of 2025, but Tennessee is still in a very good spot. You know, I made a video earlier talking about legitimate 5-star targets. Tennessee has 5 guys in the top 20 that are legitimate targets in this class of 2025, and that kind of led me to this train of thought. You know, previous years under Heupel, look, he's landed some dudes. He's landed some 5 stars. Mike Matthews, obviously, Nico, Jordan Ross, big-time prospect, and now he's got George McIntyre in the class of 25, but it felt like in some of those previous cycles, your recruiting board wasn't necessarily as deep. You may have a handful of 5 stars, handful of 4 stars, and you had a lot of 3-star guys, maybe fallback guys. But it seems like in the class of 2025, this recruiting board is deep. It is loaded, and I don't know if some of that's maybe the NCAA investigation is in the past, and then, you know, Tennessee, their administration went after the NCAA, won that lawsuit. They showed that they're going to go to bat for their players. You know, Danny White, Josh Heupel, Dante Plowman, we're showing that we want to help you succeed at the University of Tennessee. Meanwhile, you got Georgia fans crying about NIL. You got Nick Saban crying about NIL. He finally admitted that what I told you guys 2 years ago was true. He hates paying players, never wanted to pay players. Now he's crying about it because he's ridden off into the sunset, but he just can't let it go. But guess what? At the University of Tennessee, we want to take care of you. We want to compensate you, and this administration is in alignment, and I think this class of 25 has an opportunity to be something special. But when I talk about how deep the recruiting board is, a perfect example starts at the wide receiver position. If you missed the film breakdown last night, first of all, I encourage you to go back and check it out. But Coach Jay broke down 5-star wide receiver Kaliq Lockett, 6'1", 175 pounds out of Texas. Another new 5-star that Tennessee is in on. This is what Coach Jay had to say last night. Take a listen.
Yeah, a couple things. I think him and Coach Pope can get that relationship going. I think Coach Pope is a young coach who can relate to these kids, and I think kids like Lockett are going to flock to that. Also, what you mentioned about Jalen Hyatt, like, look, these kids weren't around for Peerless Prize. They don't know who Robert Meacham is. They don't care about Jason Swain. They don't give a crap about none of that. What they saw was Jalen Hyatt, you know, put up a bunch of touchdowns and Tennessee throw the goalpost in the rivers, right? That's what he knows. Second, 5-star wide receivers like to play with 5-star quarterbacks, right? You know why we pulled Matthews? You know why we pulled some of these kids? Nico, right? George, right? 5-star wide receivers like to play, you know, with 5-star quarterbacks. I think we've got one of the best ones in this class. And when you look at the style of offense that Lockett plays with, George is tailor-made to throw to this kid. His game matches up perfectly with George McIntyre. I just think the more he looks at how we do things, the more it's going to make sense to him. Texas don't got any 5-star quarterbacks, right? Manning's going to be gone by the time this kid means anything if he pans out in the first place. So we'll see how that goes. Texas A&M, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know who's coaching them. They got some kind of Shady Pines convalescent home program going.
You can go back and check that full breakdown, but the bottom line is Tennessee is in it with 5-star wide receiver Kaliq Lockett. Do they have a legitimate shot? But then also I want to look at the depth, how deep the recruiting board is at the wide receiver position. You know, Coach Jay mentioned there 5-star wide receivers want to play with 5-star quarterbacks. And look, getting George McIntyre in the boat was huge. If things pan out, if Nico is who we think he is, if Nico is who we want him to be, he's going to be your quarterback in 2024. He's going to be your quarterback in 2025. And then guess what? In 2026, we're going to have a big quarterback competition because Jake Merklinger, don't sleep on him. I know some people think that I do, but that's not the case. He's a gunslinger. He's a competitor. He wasn't scared to commit here after Nico. He wasn't scared to be here with George coming in behind him. He is going to compete with George McIntyre in that that 2026 season. George is going to have a year in the system. Jake's going to have 2 years in the system. This is what it means to stack recruiting classes. But do we have a shot with Kaliq Lockett? We're going to get into it, and we're going to talk about it. Do me a favor, guys. Smash the thumbs up just below the video. Quick, free, easy. It helps the channel, and I would appreciate it. Also, if it's your first time here, welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. We don't talk at you. We talk with you here. This channel is all about community. It's for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Again, we're going live Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, fan call-in show. So make sure your memberships are up to date. Hit that join button down below. You can do it for as little as $1. We start at the Talkin VAWLS Elite level. You get an opportunity to come on the show, hang out, have a good time. Tuesday night, NCAA night, as always. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Myself, Coach Jay, Coach Rice, maybe Dauber, maybe X Factor. We'll see who comes on. And we're going to be talking about spring camp because it kicks off on Monday. But let's talk about Kaliq Lockett. Let's see if Tennessee has a legitimate shot. You can see the profile on the screen. 6'1", 175 pounds, out of Texas. Scouting report from Gabe Brooks, 247 Sports scouting analyst on Kaliq Lockett. He says, tall, long-armed, physically gifted, high major receiver prospect with excellent on-field context, accompanying limitless long-term potential. Now, this is a guy, again, that Coach Jay broke down last night. I mean, you talk about playmaker, you talk about game changer, you talk about ESPN Sports Center top 10 type plays. That's who Kaliq Lockett is. I can see him alongside Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, some of these young wide receivers that Tennessee's targeting in 25. That's how you change the game. A lot of questions last year about 2023. Was it the quarterback? Was it the wide receivers? How about we just overhaul everything? We get some five-star talent in here, and Tennessee takes the next step to getting back to where they belong. He goes on. Scouting report says possesses enormous hands, 6'7" wingspan. Dexterous and strong-handed, displays advanced body control, vertical bounce, and timing, more than capable of going up and over multiple defenders to get contested throws. Freaky, functional athlete who can elevate, land on his feet, and burst into full gait. Detonates out of cuts with explosive acceleration. Owner of an impressive combine testing and some solid track and field. Exceptional production as a junior. Let's see. Also goes on to say, I might lack the very top-end gear the fastest receivers in the class possess, but plenty fast and otherwise more than compensates at that highest gear. Now, does Tennessee have a legitimate shot? You go over to VolQuest. He was mentioned back in February. He said Texas wideout Kaliq Lockett is a guy that Kelsey Pope is working on. He's on a lot of radars and has big-time speed, which is something Pope and Heupel crave at that position. A lot of people, you heard Coach Jay talking about Texas A&M. A lot of people think he may want to stay in state, but the quote he gave VolQuest is, I can see myself leaving the state. Not afraid to do what needs to be done for my future and my family. So does this one become a little bit about NIL? You're talking about an elite guy, top 15 prospect, number 12th ranked player in the country. Said he talked to Coach Pope a few days ago. We had a good conversation. I don't have a trip planned as of now. I really do like Tennessee and how their offense is, how they put guys in the league. And again, like Coach Jay said, how Jalen Hyatt is a former Biletnikoff Award winner. Coach Pope is a great coach. He already has put guys in the league. In my opinion, Tennessee is pretty up there. Now, Sam Spiegelman over at On3 said top 100 wide receiver Kaliq Lockett made visits to Texas A&M and TCU last month. Next up for the highly coveted blue chipper is stops at Florida State, Penn State, LSU, and Ohio State for March 23rd, his first time to Ohio State. The Buckeyes have created a stir with Lockett since he collected an offer from Brian Hartline after his junior season and have continued to chip away at the elite wide receiver. Already trending for an official visit. LSU and Texas A&M are two more programs fully immersed in his recruitment. He's got an official visit scheduled to USC on June the 7th and Texas on June the 21st. So we'll see if Tennessee can get in. But that's Kaliq Lockett. And, you know, again, big-time prospect. It's early in the process. The big question is, can Tennessee get him on campus? We'll see how that plays out. If they don't, where do they go from here? This is where I talk about the depth. The depth of the recruiting board for Tennessee. Caleb Cunningham. I mentioned him in that earlier video where Tennessee is targeting five stars inside the top 20. He's a 5-star wide receiver out of Mississippi. Going to be taking a ton of visits this spring. Ole Miss, LSU, Florida State, Auburn, Tennessee, Miami, Florida, Texas A&M. Just wrapped up a visit recently with Alabama, but this is a guy that Tennessee is very much in it. He's a George guy. He's a guy that has a great relationship with George. This is a quote I mentioned in that earlier video. He says George is his guy. We stay in touch. He's a really good quarterback. I had that feeling he was going to stay home and play for Tennessee. I can just see him playing in that offense. I can see him there at Tennessee, and we could be that dynamic duo one day in college. So that's Caleb Cunningham. Again, like Coach Jay said, 5-star wide receivers want to play with 5-star quarterbacks. We got two of them in Nico and then also George. Another guy that Tennessee is deep in it on, Jamie French, a guy that decommitted from Alabama. Now, he's listed as a 4-star right here, but you can see the On3 industry rankings. He's 22nd overall. I think he will likely bump to a 5-star, or that overall rating will go down, but you're talking about a top 25 player. When he committed to Alabama, it was over Miami, Florida State, LSU back in July. Hearing a lot about Ohio State right now, Georgia, FSU, and Oregon also in the mix. Just recently took a visit to LSU, built a solid relationship with 5-star quarterback Bryce Underwood, but the most buzz really seems to be Ohio State. Again, GMAC is working him. This was from Chad Simmons in late February. He said, I said it in January, and I still like it. Where Ohio State fits for Jamie French. He will be back in Columbus on March the 30th, has other visits lined up to Tennessee, LSU, and Texas. So again, get him on campus. Let's make it happen. Florida State is expected to have the playmaker out of Jacksonville, Florida on campus this spring too. Brian Hartline's track record has French's attention. The former Alabama commitment doesn't have a new timeline for decision. So again, the question here is, if we're talking about Kaliq Lockett and we're talking about Jamie French and Brian Hartline and what he's done at Ohio State, and look, that's the thing. Kelsey Pope's got to continue to put guys in the league. We can't just live off of Jalen Hyatt. We got to have another guy. We got to put Brew McCoy in the league. You know, I know Cedric Tillman got drafted. We got to put some of these young guys into the league as well. But how many guys is Florida State going to take? Right? How many guys is Florida State going to take in their class? How many 5-stars are going to sit back and wait for their turn? But the depth of the recruiting board continues. Another guy Tennessee deep in it with is Cam Sparks out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, 6'3", 210-pound, 4-star wide receiver. Again, overall ranking, 132nd in the country. Top 6, Auburn, Georgia, Florida State, Miami, Michigan, Tennessee. Been on campus to Knoxville 8 or 9 times already. He was here back on junior day. Plans to take official visits over the summer. Definitely going to visit Auburn and Tennessee. Guess what? He's also 7-on-7 teammates with George McIntyre. So again, the George connection. But that's another elite wide receiver that Tennessee is in it on. Let's go take another one. I'm running through all these wide receivers to show you just how deep this thing goes. This is another one that Coach Rice broke down on a live stream. Redarius Jackson, 4-star wide receiver out of Memphis. Again, a top 250 guy. You know, you can look at it and say, well, Boogie's 232nd. You get enough top 300 guys, that's a game changer. That's how you build a top 5 class. Another George McIntyre guy. Chad Simmons, after George committed, said Redarius Jackson is a top target for Tennessee, and McIntyre knows it. The two compete together on Tennessee Select with Cam Sparks. It says they have workouts together before, and the connection is already there. Jackson picked up the offer from the Vols in October. He was in Knoxville for the George game in November and is expected back soon. Tennessee is the favorite to land the in-state talent out of Memphis. So that's another elite prospect on the radar for Tennessee. I'm going to roll out one last guy and take a look at a California kid out of Modern Day. Marcus Harris, 4-star wide receiver. Again, a top 150 guy. I can't reiterate that enough. These are elite level prospects that Tennessee is deep in it on. He's out of California. He visited Tennessee, Texas, Oregon, USC, Colorado, Oklahoma, Penn State, all hosted him back in the fall. But he's got that connection. This is where the Nico connection kind of ties in, right? You get that Nico connection. You tie that in with George is going to be the quarterback of the future. He's one of the guys that when the junior day got canceled back in January, he had already booked his flight. He came on in town anyway. He got a lot of one-on-one time with this coaching staff. We'll see how that impacts that. But that is some of the elite targets at the wide receiver position. 6 wide receivers I just rattled off there. All 6 of those guys are in the top 300. That's huge. You've also got 3 5-stars in that mix. If you include French, who, again, ranked 22nd. 3 dudes three dudes that Tennessee is legitimately targeting inside the top 25. So what do you guys think? Smash the thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Can Tennessee get that top 5 class in 2025? Also, go check out the brand new merch. We got brand new Knoxville themed t-shirts. You can see it right there. Got the checkerboard design on it. It says Talkin VAWLS Network underneath. Clean, simple, smooth. Go check it out. bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. You guys asked for longer videos, so I could have done this and just talked about Lockett. Wanted to extend that out, add 6 guys here, little longer theme. So do me a favor, smash the thumbs up, jump in the comment section. Let's talk about it. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.